Dr. Dan's Freedom Forum is on the air.
This is Dr. Dan, and this is Freedom Forum Live, streaming every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. It is my pleasure to bring to you an abstract of a thought-provoking article written by my good friend Rob Yates, the communications director of the North Carolina Libertarian Party. 2 days from now, we are about to celebrate the single most celebrated holiday in the world, marking the observance and celebration of the birth of a very special child 2 millennia ago. It is important that we examine the actual story of the birth of Jesus, the message he brought, how the government at that time responded to it, and how those lessons remain true throughout history and still apply today. Simply as a result of being born, before he was a day old, Jesus faced mortal danger from King Herod, who, responding to a prophecy, decided he would rather kill a baby than chance the emergence of someone who could challenge his power. As Matthew tells it in chapter 2, verses 16 to 18, then Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, was exceedingly angry, and he sent forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem and in all its districts, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had determined from the wise men. The CIA, the KGB, and agents of the global elite assassinating political opponents is just the latest version of a tactic that dates back to biblical times. Of course, Herod didn't have Epstein's client list or similar leverage more appropriate for his time, and so he failed to kill Jesus. Eventually, Herod died, leaving Jesus to grow up and become the protagonist in the most influential tale in known human history. You need not be, rather I should say, you need be neither Christian nor even religious to appreciate the Gospels. Jesus lived by a code that sounds strangely familiar. Don't hurt people, Matthew 7:12. So in everything, do to others as you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. Don't take people's stuff, John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. And don't initiate violence, Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. We even have an idea of how Jesus might have viewed the Fed when he overturned the money changers' tables and called them a den of thieves for making money their religion. Jesus specifically called out the abuses of power inherent to the state and instead advocated for lives of service as an act of resistance. We all know how the story ends. The elites of that time, Rome and Judaism Inc., reached a point where they could no longer tolerate the threat to their power posed by the existence of someone who had the audacity to promote peace and harmony over violence and coercion. To put an end to Jesus's revolution of love, the state paid 30 silver pieces in blood money to Judas Iscariot, the first of so many Judas Iscariots who have killed innocent people on behalf of dictators and oligarchs ever since. Even facing death, Jesus was defiant in his refusal to acknowledge the false charges he faced. And Rome was forced to spread a little old-fashioned misinformation, stirring up the people to call for the release of Barabbas to ensure the assassination that Rome desired. There are any number of other examples of Jesus committing great acts of revolutionary defiance by simply being peaceful. But I want to fast forward to current times and ponder for a moment if the government and the global elite would tolerate the return of Jesus any better now than they did in biblical times. In other words, my friends, have we learned anything since Jesus and since Jesus' time? Malcolm X was not assassinated until he started preaching peace and unity. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden have suffered, not for any harm they did to anyone else, but for exposing the crimes of the global elite and the government. People present at the Capitol on January 6th have been held in custody, violating their constitutional rights, such as habeas corpus. Many have received prison sentences that are many times longer than the sentences given to child rapists, all because of their willingness to defy the government. Of course, as influential as some of those people are, none of them redefined human history for the last 2,000 years, as did the birth of Jesus. The joy associated with Christmas and the birth of Jesus is because of the freedom that Jesus represents. It is pure and profound freedom, inherent and gifted to every human on the planet, from which our natural law rights are derived. It is the freedom that does not require permission from any government, whether it be a religious tyrant, a military tyrant, an elected tyrant, or any other authoritarian tyrant. The choice we have, the real choice, and consider this carefully, my friends, the real choice we have is whether we will submit to tyranny and accept the reprisals of a government terrified of a free people, or if we, you and I, we will live freely and resist the end result as tyranny inevitably attempts to assert its monopoly on violence and tries to retain control and forced obedience. This is Dr. Dan. I know what I choose. I know what Rob also chooses. Resist tyranny and trust in freedom. Merry Christmas and be free.